You'll regret this, Jack. I know exactly how to destroy a man like you, Therisa whispered, her eyes cold, her voice dripping with confidence as she slammed the bedroom door and disappeared into her secret double life. What she didn't know was that I was already 5 steps ahead, quietly watching, collecting evidence, and preparing a counterstrike so brutal it would cripple more than just her pride. When the truth finally surfaced, it didn't just expose her affair. It detonated a ticking bomb designed to take down my entire company. Viewers, have you ever loved someone so deeply that their betrayal didn't just break your heart? It tried to erase your future? What would you do if the person sleeping beside you was secretly building your downfall? Drop your thoughts below. Please subscribe, like, comment and watch till the ending to share this interesting story to your family and friends. My name is Jack Stones, and if you asked anyone in Houston, Texas, they'd tell you I'm the kind of man who builds things, bridges, towers, stadiums. I'm a civil engineer trained to understand why things stand and why they fall. Funny thing is, I never realized the same rules apply to marriages. You can reinforce a structure all you want, but if someone keeps chipping at the foundation, it collapses silently, suddenly, without warning. That's exactly what happened to mine. When I first met Therisa, she wasn't just a woman, she was gravity. Everything in my world pulled toward her. She had that mix of confidence and softness that made me believe love didn't have to be complicated. I married her with the full conviction that life had handed me its rarest gift. For the first 2 years, we were inseparable, late-night drives, shared jokes no one else understood, passionate nights that left us breathless. But somewhere along the line, the warmth vanished, replaced by a coldness I couldn't explain. People think marriages die in explosions. No. Mine died in silence. In looks that lingered too long on her phone screen. In nights when she'd slide to the far edge of the bed, as if my touch carried infection. In whispers I wasn't supposed to hear and smiles that were never meant for me. I didn't know it then, but the version of Therisa sleeping beside me wasn't mine anymore. She belonged to someone else, or worse, to something else. That was the beginning of the end. For weeks, I tried to convince myself I was imagining it. People change, careers evolve, and adulthood has a way of draining the colors out of once beautiful things. That's what I kept repeating every night while lying beside Therisa's rigid back, her body stiff like someone afraid of being touched. She claimed she was exhausted, mentally drained, and emotionally overwhelmed. Her promotion to head of marketing at a fast-growing fintech company demanded long hours, unpredictable meetings, and weekend trips. At first, I admired her ambition, until I realized her ambition had swallowed her marriage whole. The strange part wasn't the late nights or the new clothes. It was the shift in her aura. She had always been elegant, but this was different. There was a glow to her now, something fueled not by success but by attention. Her laughter at text messages she'd quickly hide, the subtle change of perfume that wasn't floral like before but bold, seductive, unfamiliar. Even her silence felt rehearsed, like she was practicing detachment. One night, while she pretended to be asleep, I heard her murmur a name, soft, almost tender. Not mine. It cut through me like steel. I sat up, staring at her profile as moonlight traced the outline of her lips. My chest tightened with a truth I wasn't ready for. Someone else was occupying the space I used to own. I wanted to confront her, scream, demand answers, but engineers don't react without data. I needed proof. Something inside me whispered that her distance wasn't random, it was intentional. Please don't forget to subscribe. I changed before she noticed I was changing. If Therisa no longer wanted me at night, she wouldn't get me in the morning. It started subtly. No more breakfast together, no more soft good mornings, no more waiting for her to wake up before leaving for work. I began slipping out before dawn, leaving behind nothing but silence and the faint smell of my cologne in the hallway. At first, I told myself it was about self-respect. But the truth was darker. I wanted to see how she reacted to my absence. Attention had become her currency, and I was done funding her emotional economy. The shift unsettled her. The first week, she acted confused. The second, irritated. By the third, she started coming home later, as if trying to outrun guilt or accountability. But what she didn't know was that I wasn't distancing myself to escape her. I was studying her. Every morning I left early gave me something I had been losing for months: clarity. My father once told me, when someone starts treating you like a background character in your own life, rewrite the script. You should know. I grew up watching him beg my cheating mother to stay. He called it love. I called it self-destruction. I swore I'd never kneel in emotional mud the way he did. But silence does something confrontation never can. It exposes truths. And as Therisa watched me fade from her mornings, she didn't chase me. She didn't ask questions. She didn't care. That's when I realized she wasn't losing me. She'd already let me go. I needed an outlet, somewhere to channel the frustration simmering beneath my calm exterior, so I joined a new gym near Therisa's office. It was convenient, and more importantly, it removed me from the suffocating stillness of our home. The gym smelled of rubber mats and ambition, people sculpting their bodies, pushing limits, sweating out demons I was only beginning to understand. I wasn't looking for trouble. I wasn't looking for anyone. But trouble found me anyway. He approached me on my fourth visit, catching me between sets of dumbbell presses. Tall, muscular, confident, the kind of man who walks like the world parts for him. He extended a hand with a smile that felt too practiced. "You're Jack, right? Therisa's husband?" The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I hadn't told anyone here my name, much less my marital status. His handshake was firm, too firm, like he wanted to establish dominance. His name was Tiga, an IT consultant according to him. He spoke casually, but there was calculation in his eyes, like he was running diagnostics on me. "She talks about you sometimes," he said, wiping sweat from his brow. "Says you're emotionally distant." Emotionally distant. The phrase echoed in my skull. It wasn't an observation, it was a script. One Therisa had clearly rehearsed. I forced a neutral smile, but inside, something snapped into place. This wasn't random. This man wasn't curious. He was informed. As Tiga walked away, he glanced back with a smirk, like a man who knows a secret you haven't discovered yet. And for the first time, I realized Therisa's rejection wasn't personal. It was preparation. Please don't forget to subscribe. Therisa changed again almost overnight. The coldness that once hung between us thawed into something unsettling, forced sweetness, exaggerated compliments, and smiles that didn't reach her eyes. She started coming home earlier, dressing nicer, asking about my day as if reading from a manual titled How to Pretend You Care. It wasn't affection, it was a performance. And like any bad actor, she overplayed her role. Then came the invitation. Her company was hosting a grand gala downtown, a night of champagne, speeches, and corporate egos dressed in designer suits. Therisa insisted we attend together, her tone too bright, too eager. It wasn't a suggestion, it was a demand wrapped in enthusiasm. "You never go anywhere with me anymore," she said, voice trembling with manufactured vulnerability. "People think our marriage is strained." Interesting choice of words. That night as she got ready, I watched her in the mirror. Her hands shook slightly while applying lipstick, eyes darting like someone expecting judgment. Guilt? Fear? Or anticipation? The ballroom was a world of golden lights, polished floors reflecting wealth and secrets. Everyone seemed to know her. She floated through conversations like royalty, introducing me as though I were an accessory she'd forgotten she owned. Then I saw him, Chike. Tall, charismatic, with the kind of smile that made women remember bad decisions. The moment Therisa spotted him, her face lit up, not like she'd seen an old friend, but like a flame reigniting after months of suffocation. Their hug lingered too long. Tiga watched from across the room, smirking again. Like a man waiting for Act 2. I didn't confront Therisa after the gala. Confrontation felt too small for whatever game she was playing. Instead, I observed. She moved around the house like a woman living on borrowed time, pacing rooms she once owned, avoiding eye contact as though guilt had become a physical presence standing between us. That night, she showered longer than usual. When she emerged, her hair wasn't wrapped in a towel, it was styled. She wasn't dressed in pajamas, she wore a fitted navy dress I'd never seen. The perfume she sprayed wasn't the floral scent I knew. This one was bold, provocative, dangerous. "Another late night at the office?" I asked, my voice casual. She flinched. "No. Just clearing my head." Her lie was thin, transparent, insulting. I waited until she left, then followed at a distance, headlights dimmed, heartbeat loud. Houston felt unfamiliar, like the city was complicit in her treachery. She drove straight to the Blue Haven Hotel, a place known for discretion, not romance. She walked in confidently, as though she'd rehearsed this entrance countless times. I approached the hallway slowly. Room 407. I stopped when I heard voices, not whispers but comfortable conversation. Chike's voice was unmistakable, smooth and arrogant. "She's almost done with him. He's slipping away." Then Tiga, amused. "You trained her well." And finally, Therisa, my wife, the woman who once cried in my arms. "Jack thinks it's his idea to leave. He won't fight. He'll just fade." My stomach twisted. This wasn't cheating. This was extermination. Please don't forget to subscribe. Therisa returned home 2 days later as if nothing had happened. She walked through the door of their suburban Chicago house humming, her heels clicking confidently against the tiled floor. Jack sat at the dining table, documents neatly arranged in front of him, bank statements, photos, text messages, everything. His expression was unreadable, carved from ice. "Jack?" she asked, forcing a smile. "You look serious. What's going on?" Jack calmly slid a folder across the table. "Sit." Therisa hesitated, then sat, flipping it open. Her smile dissolved instantly. Her pulse kicked. "Where did you get all this?" Jack leaned back. "You weren't careful enough." Her eyes darted through the evidence. Receipts from Cincinnati, hotel bookings, messages with Brandon, and pictures that eliminated every lie she could attempt. Her throat tightened. "Jack, it's not what it looks like." Jack laughed, quiet, controlled, deadly. "Therisa, if lying was an Olympic sport, you'd be a gold medalist." She slammed her hand on the table. "I made a mistake. Brandon was vulnerable and I—" "No," Jack cut in sharply. "You weren't comforting him. You were replacing me. And you didn't even hesitate." Therisa's voice trembled. "Jack, please. I still love you." Jack stood, towering over her. "You loved the attention. You loved the thrill. You never loved me enough to stay loyal." She reached for him, tears forming. He stepped back. "Don't." Her face crumpled. "What are you going to do?" Jack picked up a single envelope and dropped it in front of her. "Something you'll never forget." Therisa stared at the envelope like it was a bomb. Her hands shook as she tore it open, eyes scanning the first page. Her face drained of color. "Divorce papers?" she whispered, disbelief choking her voice. Jack didn't flinch. "I told you, something you'll never forget." Therisa pushed back from the table. "Jack, no. You can't just throw away our marriage." Jack folded his arms. "Therisa, you threw it away the moment you let another man hold what was mine. This is just the paperwork." She staggered toward him, mascara streaking as tears spilled. "Please, Jack. I was confused. I was insecure. I didn't feel appreciated." Jack's voice stayed calm, cold. "So you went searching for validation in another man's bed? That's not confusion, that's a choice." Therisa sobbed harder. "We can fix this. I'll cut Brandon off. I'll do therapy. I'll do anything." Jack shook his head. "You think I want to spend the rest of my life wondering who you're comforting next? I deserve better." Therisa dropped to her knees, gripping his leg. "I swear I'll change. Don't do this." Jack gently removed her hands. "You didn't value me when you had me. Now you don't get to decide the terms of my peace." Desperate, she searched his eyes for even a flicker of hope. There wasn't any. Jack picked up his jacket and headed for the door. "Sign them," he said, voice final. "And don't embarrass yourself trying to negotiate." The door closed behind him. Therisa collapsed, screaming his name, too late. Please don't forget to subscribe. I stood outside the house, breathing in the cold Denver air like it was freedom. But as I walked toward my truck, something gnawed at me, an unresolved itch beneath my ribs. This wasn't just betrayal. This felt planned. Calculated. Too clean. I opened the glove compartment and pulled out the second envelope, the one I hadn't shown her. Inside were screenshots, timestamps, and bank statements I'd been collecting for weeks. My gut had whispered something to me long before I knew the truth, and now the facts screamed. Therisa hadn't just cheated for attention. She'd been funded. Brandon wasn't some random fling. He'd been sending her money, rent payments, shopping sprees, weekend transfers disguised as loans. That wasn't romance. That was investment. But the kicker, the punch that knocked the wind from my chest, was a contract I found among the documents. My company's logo was stamped in the corner. The CFO's signature slashed across the bottom like a scar. They were negotiating with Brandon's firm behind my back. Therisa wasn't sleeping with a man she desired. She was sleeping with a man who wanted access to me. Every rejection suddenly snapped into place. Every cold shoulder. Every night she rolled away. She hadn't grown distant because she fell out of love. She'd been distracting me, weakening me, lowering my guard while the wolves circled. My fists trembled around the papers. Therisa didn't break my heart first. She tried to break my empire. I stared back at the house, rage and clarity mixing like gasoline. This wasn't personal lust. This was corporate betrayal. The next morning, I walked into my office not as a broken husband, but as a man sharpened by betrayal. The boardroom looked the same, cold glass table, city skyline, the faint hum of business, but everything felt different. I wasn't here to plead. I wasn't here to explain. I was here to strike. The CFO sat at the head of the table, Brandon beside him, smirking like he already owned my future. Therisa wasn't there physically, but her fingerprints were all over this setup. I took my seat without a word, dropped a thick binder onto the table, and watched their faces pale as the contents spilled free. Every email, every wire transfer, every bedroom rendezvous tied neatly to corporate espionage. Brandon opened his mouth, but I raised a hand. "You don't get to speak in my company." Security walked in at my signal, 2 officers in suits, calm and efficient. They escorted the CFO out as he stammered, realizing his future had evaporated. Brandon followed, his arrogance melting into panic. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I simply watched. The board unanimously removed them within minutes. My empire wasn't just safe, it was now untouchable. As I left the building, the sun finally felt warm again. My phone buzzed, Therisa's name on the screen. I didn't answer. She had chosen her path, and now she would walk it alone. I paused by my truck, looking toward the horizon. Sometimes betrayal doesn't destroy you. Sometimes it forges you. And something told me, Therisa's story wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Please subscribe, like, comment and share for more interesting stories.